neon lights, we take a stand. Knights and wizards across the land.
All right, enough of that Christmas nonsense. It's time to get back to normal. Good morning and welcome. Hopefully you are all safe and sound and warm and toasty and have gone through all your Christmas presents and are ready for some tabletop role-playing game Friday LAST RPG Crowdfunding news of 2025. What a year for crowdfunding it has been. The $1 million glass ceiling pointless. Bare minimum now seems to be 3 million, and if you're not making at least $1 million on your Kickstarter, people are like, oh, you're a failure. Now, I would ask how many of those 3 million, 4 million, 7 million, 12 million, $13 million Kickstarters ended up just sitting on the shelves gathering dust. I mean, you know, not to be a naysayer, not to be a Scrooge, but the Brandon Sanderson $13 million Kickstarter is not in the top 10 top selling games. In fact, I haven't heard much about it since it hit the press. I think it's number 30, 32 on the list of top sellers. So, yeah. The sad thing is, I think a lot of people who are going to be kickstarting from this point on are just going to be expecting to make $1 million or more, because that's just sort of feels like that's now the established, where like little small press developers like our good friend Ed over at Shades of Vengeance is like, if I make $600 on the Kickstarter, success. Okay, so that said, it's time to take a look at the last crowdfunding of 2025. And again, nothing really jumps out at me. There's but mostly because of one of my preferences. But in the fact of, something that really excites me, sadly, once again, not much. When we let through the list of upcoming games for 2026 that we know of, I was like, yeah, nothing on this list really jumps out at me like I have to have. There's a few I'm curious about, but I'm not going to go out of my way. So yeah, that's not a good sign, at least as far as I'm concerned. Your mileage may differ. All right, here we go. From Jerry Joe Seltzer, we have Grim subclasses for Dungeons and Dragons. It's $11. Well, you win. You win. $11 for PDF. You win. Do you need 12 new subclasses that are tragic? Subclasses have built-in bite, including backer tiers and backgrounds and origin flaws and subclasses. If you're a fan of subclasses built for dark backstories, this collection of a dozen tragedies may speak to you. I think you know what I'm going to say in response to that. Oh, good morning. Those Critical Role Kickstarters, did anyone actually play those games? I don't think so. May y'all, flush your money down the toilet. Why don't you just give your money to me instead of flush it down the toilet? I need the money more than you do. All right, back to our regular scheduled nonsense. Good morning, Bob St. Smitty's. Thank you for spending your Christmas day after morning with me. All right, so what do we think about 12 grim, dark, tragic backstories and subclasses? Oh no, my subclass is orphan. My subclass is tragic, saw his parents murdered and dedicated his life. Stop it. No. Just subclasses. I mean, subclasses, I think there's too many as there is. I think it should be 4 for 1, right? And some of the subclasses aren't subclasses. Like Barbarian is not a class. It will never be a class. Do we need 12 tragic subclasses? What the fuck is a tragic subclass as opposed to a normal subclass? It's like, what's your subclass? Hamlet. Doomed Prince. I will die when my character hits 5th level. I don't know. No. Appreciate your work, Jerry Joe Seltzer. Wish you nothing but luck, but no, stop it. Moving on from the Third Kingdom Games, we have BX Advanced Beastery Volume 3. Because remember, kids, when in doubt, make a monster book. This is $42 plus shipping and handling for the PDF and print version of the books. This is Monsters for BX, OSR, OSE, D20, whatever you want to call it. Old school essentials, just, non-5e D20 creations. We've got at least 75 new monsters because, the 200 or so in the player's handbook monster manual aren't enough. Plus, when in doubt, make a book of monsters. We could always use more monsters. From Eric Lazar, we have Hope Springs Eternal for Daggerheart, $50. This is a 5 campaign frames for Daggerheart. We've got the Frozen World campaign. We've got the Eternal Song campaign. We have Poison Root Civil War campaign. So these are ideas for Daggerhearts to be campaign frames for you to run. So that's how Daggerheart explains their world building. They present you a frame from which to create with. Here's the general overall, but you fill in the small stuff, which is the same way I'm writing the adventures for and campaign settings for Shadowdark Vigilantes 2.0, where it's just sort of here's a framework with a lot of ideas, and then here's the work through it. So I like that idea. I don't know why it has to be widgets, campaign setting versus campaign frame, whatever. So $50 though for a Daggerheart, with some weird demon getting stuff injected into their spine, and some gnome, and then this world on the back of a giant. Actually, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. But $50 for Daggerheart? Yeah. See mention of $13 million Kickstarter for what I think about Daggerheart. Is anybody actually playing it? All right, from RPG Rambling Publications, we have Island of the Whispering God. You know I love islands. You know I love dinosaur. You know I love Dinosaur Island. So I'm going to like this one. It's $19. And it's for DCC, which is still my favorite of all the retro clones. Isn't Shadowdark your favorite? Well, no. I love the goofiness of DCC. So but it's very, I'll still make Shadowdark product over everything else because it's right now still easiest. But yeah, $19 for Dungeon Crawl Classics Love, an island with weird island stuff going on. Very, and I love islands, so that's my From Strange Arcade, we have D&D Adventure Campaign, The Concord of Arda. D&D Adventure Campaign, The Concord of Arda. For $5. You win, $5. An entire campaign for $5 with guys jousting on the cover. Sounds awesome. Probably a better way to say the name than D&D Adventure Campaign, The Concord of Arda. How about just The Concord of Arda campaign setting? Or just The Concord of Arda for 5e or whatever. You are 6th level or higher, and you're going to attorney. In this adventure, there are games, intrigue, theft, and society bent on dark power. Across 5 sessions, you'll find mini games and combat meant to stir those who want to do more than dungeon delve or talk politics. You've got courtly affairs, dueling, everything that would go on at one of those medieval type fairs that they would have like once or twice a year, to bolster trade, give the knights something to do with the jousting, trade off, arranged marriages, stuff like that. For $5, yes. Why not? And finally, we got to give a nod to our host, EM Publishing, for allowing us to use these links every week. We've got Enchanted Trinkets, 500 new magic trinkets for $20 for the PDF. What's the difference between a trinket and, say, a normal magic item? I don't know. I mean, I guess the concept is trinkets are a little bit more household helper than +1 ring of protection, like the cloak of many colors trinket. You've got a cloak. What's its magic? It changes color. Or the magic hair dryer that just floats behind you and dries your hair whenever it gets wet. I guess that's the thing, right? A trinket is just sort of a very minor magic item that's just sort of meant to make life a little easier. or just an experiment that somebody did, and there's like, okay, whatever, I invented this. Maybe it'll come in handy, maybe it won't. Now, when I first started talking about this book, I was like, do you really need 500 trinkets? Would that really be what wizards would? But then I thought about it. I was like, actually, yeah. It actually thinks it makes more sense that you would have just sort of these nonsense trinkets laying around as examples of wizards and clerics and spellcasters just sort of experimenting. And then thus increasing the rarity of actually a wizard, cleric, whatever, getting to the point where they're actually going to make a +1 sword or an artifact. But, I mean, how many of us went to, made clay ashtrays for our parents when we were kids, or you go to art class and there's like 25 kids all sculpting or all painting or all forging metal or whatever. So add a little the idea that, okay, this is what wizards do to experiment, and then these things are just kind of laying around. Oh, look at these socks, they make you slightly warmer than normal socks for 5 gold. I'll buy those. So yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think in a fantasy productive society where there are wizards and clerics, I think you would find more magical trinkets than you would, and that's more likely what a wizard will be working on, is like how to make origami sculptures that come alive for 5 seconds. So yeah. Now that said, do I think this book is worth $20 for PDF of 500 teeny little magic items you may or may not use? I'd say it's worth 15, but still 500 for 20. Yeah, why not, for PDF? Full of clever little fun ideas to spice up your campaign, where you're like, I want to reward them, but I don't want to really give them anything good magical other than maybe a potion. But hey, a little wind up magic toy or something. Yeah, why not? So yeah, this is actually my maybe. This is definitely maybe for $5. This is a definite maybe because it's Dinosaur Pirate Island, and I love anything to do with dinosaurs and islands. No, I'm sorry. No offense, Critical Role. No offense to Eric Lazar, but I think Daggerheart is already dead. New monsters for $50? Sure, I guess. And then tragic dark subclasses? No, 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 no. Stop it. No. But those are my opinions, and my opinions matter very little. I'm just one voice in the whirlwind. If you appreciate it, great. If there's any of the titles that I mentioned you want to run out and get, use my link down below in the description to get to the Kickstarter. And then, whatever. I don't make anything, it's not like the affiliate for drive-through. Just here's the link from EN World. New monsters for $50. Is it gold embossed? Good point. Good point. Yeah. If I need a new monster, I'll just reskin an existing monster. It's not an orc. It's a cave beast. It's not a dragon. It's a space worm. Unless they have just stats and ideas, but whatever. I wish them all the luck in the world. So there we go. If you appreciate this content, let me know. If you never want to hear me do this ever again, let me know. If you appreciate this enough to support me in 2026, you can use the Ko-Fi down below. You can use my drive-through link to purchase your products on drive-through through my link, and then I get a small percentage. And of course, you could purchase my PDFs that are available on drive-through that are still marked down to pay what you want till I get enough energy to go online and change it. But they will be changing back to normal prices on the 1st. So it's a great time to check out the product I'm making. Get the first taste of Vigilantes for Shadowdark 2.0, which will be coming out sometime in 2026. It's 80% done. And yeah, until then, have a great day. I hope you are all healthy and happy and well and had a good holiday yesterday. I didn't. Because of the storms and because of a member of my family being sick, I ended up spending all day at home, just curled up, listening to the rain, reading with Steve. And I gotta say, It was one of the best Christmases I ever had. No noise, no chaos, just this amazing rainstorm. Sure, it got scary at time. It was warm and cozy, and I had my snacks and my soup and my toast, and I had Steve, and I had chamomile tea. Yeah, it was one of the best Christmases I ever had. Which doesn't say a lot for my family, does it? See ya!
Monsters lurking in the night. Heroes ready for the fight. Dice are clattering on the wood. Storylines misunderstood. Get the